of Earth, travelers of the night, and hopeful but nervous Boston Celtics fans. What is going on? I am Flash by Night, and we are doing the re-up live. So the re-up is basically where I, come and share my new comic book day books and share whatever else I picked up throughout the week. And I was gonna record it and then edit and let it marinate overnight and make a thumbnail and do some more things. But then I was like, you know what? I can just go live and just put it out into the world, nice and raw, and let people make of it what they will, which, the community we're in, everybody kind of makes positive out of everything. So not worried about going live. I used to be, but I'm not anymore. And now I'm rambling. So what I want to do is basically show off my new comic book day books. It's like 8 of them. I don't get a whole lot of books. In fact, 8 is kind of heavy for my expectations in a week, but they were 8 good ones. And then I have some books I got from Whatnot. And I think once you see the books I got from Whatnot, you'll know they're right on brand. So we're going to start off with my first book. I saw a couple of posts yesterday and Tuesday saying that basically, it's going to be Wednesday. And for the first week in in like a month and a half, there's no new Moon Knight on Wednesday. And I replied in those posts, if you go to your local comic book shop, you will find that there is indeed new Moon Knight this Wednesday, and it is Moon Knight Black, White, and Blood, issue number 1. So Moon Knight Black, White, and Blood is, I think, a 4-part anthology series where you've got basically 3 stories told by 3 different creators. You've got Hickman and is it Bachalo, Guggenheim, Fornes, and then you got Aildale and Adaton. I know I butchered that last couple of creators' names, but yeah. So we already read this. Pretty decent book. I'll be quite frank with you. I didn't understand a lot of the Hickman story. The like future last Moon Knight last is it Anubis Rex? I think that's the name of the story. I didn't understand a whole lot of it. I didn't really understand the art in it, but the other 2 stories were pretty good. There's one with Spider-Man that also has 2 other cameos. One cameo most Marvel fans will notice. The other cameo is kind of for a specific Moon Knight reader. People who've read specific Moon Knight stories have noticed this cameo right off the bat. And then you have this 3rd story by Guggenheim, which is probably the closest we have to our modern Moon Knight storytelling with the Midnight Mission and everything. I won't say it's as good as the Jed McCabe Midnight Mission Moon Knight story we have going on so far, but it's a good attempt at it, and it's got a bit of a gimmick to it. I don't know if the gimmick adds or takes away from the story, but it was a pretty comfortable story. It won't blow anybody's socks off or anything. But I think two of these 3 stories I was happy to have read. Maybe if I go back and read the Hickman again, look at it really close, maybe I'll get it, but I didn't get it right off the bat. But still, Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood, this nice Sienkiewicz cover. I always like to find a little extra blood splattering on my Moon Knight covers. Yeah. Oh, let me see who is in the house. It's White Tiger, a.k.a. Ruby G, is in the house, Cowabunga. So I just hopped off of a show with Ruby G. He was in the hot seat on Gary B, the Casual Comic Guys channel, and Gary, Rob's Fat Stacks of Comics, Digger Jim, and I hung out with Ruby G. Got to know him a little bit better. Really, really good guy. Upstanding community member, makes the community better. So yeah, after you see this, if you have not watched In the Hot Seat with the Usual Suspects on Gary B's channel, go ahead and check it out. Let's see. Could you be Mark or Steve with me? Or Jake or Khonshu? I'm gonna tell you right off the bat. I think I'm a little bit of Steven, but I've got like Jake like in the back of my mind. I think I would fit the MCU version of Steven probably most. That's probably the closest to me as a person. But in the back of my mind, like I can really be Jake if I need to be. That's basically me. So the next book up we have is Captain America, Symbol of Truth. Of course, this is let's see. Is that Anya Bucci? I know there's RB Silva on the art. Is that Anya Bucci? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that name right. But of course, we have our 2 Captain America books now. There is one, I think, Sentinel of Liberty with Steve Rogers, and then there is Captain America, Symbol of Truth with Sam Wilson. The Captain America 0 issue was kind of interesting, so I'm really looking to catch up on Captain America, Sam Wilson, and I know. There's a split in the community where some people want him to be Falcon, some want him to be Captain America. I could fall on either side, but it's a really long conversation that requires time and perspective. But outside of all of that messy stuff, I really do want to check out Captain America, Symbol of Truth. Oh, and then we have Taylor Winder in the house. How are you doing, sir? Thank you for hopping on. Let's see. So you're secretly ultra violent. Good to know. You know what? I don't know if I'm secretly ultra violent, but I could be. I could keep that in the back pocket in case I need it. But of course, it would only be for people who deserve it. Which, if that's Khonshu's definition, then there's no telling who actually deserves it. But we'll keep that for desperate times and desperate measures. Next book I picked up, penultimate issue, 7 Secrets, issue number 17. I believe this is the B cover. And I kind of got it because I like the kind of combination of Ava. Is it Eva or Ava? I think it's Ava and Casper on the cover. For those who haven't been reading, 7 Secrets has been this story about basically this order who protects these 7 cases with like these secrets that can destroy the world or whatever. And they've been on the run from this organization they call the Seekers. And it turns out they had a traitor in their midst. I won't tell you who the traitor was, but it was a good surprise once we got the trailer. But anyway, we're close to the end of the story. It seems like it may be wrapping up really quickly from where we were in issue number 12, which was kind of my favorite issue of the series. Spoiler alert. One of these characters didn't make it out of issue number 16, so I really want to know what's in issue number 17 and eventually how Tom Taylor and Daniel Dinaculo wrap it up. There we go. Seven Secrets, issue number 17. Next book up from AWA Upshot, we have The Joneses, issue number 2. So in The Joneses, you have this family who's kind of Fantastic Four-ish. They're a family of superpowered people in this world of AWA, where I forget the event in the book where this event happened. A lot of people died, but some people got resurrected with powers. They call them reborns, and this family kind of lives in a small area of Illinois, outside of Chicago, and doesn't want their suburban neighbors to know that they are reborns and they have powers. But there are some splits in this family, some differences of opinion. The family's already split because both kids, like the kids, I think, come from outside relationships before marriage, maybe. So even that's fractured. And at least one member of this family is dying to come out and tell the world that they have superpowers. So we'll see how that works. The Joneses issue number 1 was pretty good. I want to see how what this does. And I'll probably, no matter what happens, I'll probably follow this out. It's only 5 issues. So we'll see how it works out. Let's see. Hope they in the series well. We'll see. Yeah. I am anxious to see how Seven Secrets ends. Because like I said, they did a long, I won't say a slow burn because it was a big gigantic chase, but it was kind of a slow burn from the start to issue number 12 when we found out who the traitor was. And it feels like it kind of fast forwarded from because by then we knew that 18 would be it, and it feels like it fast forwarded from there. And yeah, I'm interested to see how they wrap that up. Next book, Nocterra issue number 10 from Image Comics. Of course, we're in the middle of the big PM, and we're trying to bring the light back to the world, and we are teaming up with the villain of the first half of the story, or at least the first 6 books of the story. We're teaming up with Blacktop Bill because Blacktop Bill knows where the secrets are that may be able to bring light back to the world. But Blacktop Bill is still Blacktop Bill. He is not and will not pretend like he has turned over a new leaf. So we're going to see what happens in Nocterra number 10. See what secrets he tells us and tells the crew, and see how much we can trust him. Next book up is a book that I ordered. I remember ordering now that I have it, but I didn't remember ordering it until I got to the store because I didn't anticipate picking it up. But I have the foil cover for Grimm issue number 1. Like, I didn't remember, so much so that I heard like 3 or 4 or 5 people review this book, talk about how they got this book, and it never dawned on me until I got to the shop that I had ordered this cover, because I believe this cover was either the same price or maybe $1 more than the A cover. And I'm not a foil guy, but something convinced me to press the order button on previews, and we have Grimm number 1, which I think is basically the story of this young lady who dies, and maybe she's part of the Grim Reaper Corps or something like that. I don't know if they actually call them the Grim Reaper Corps. I made the Grim Reaper Corps up. But in her work with the Reapers, trying to guide souls, she wants to find out how she got killed. I think that's how it went. Either way, we may open this up and check it out. Now that I have the foil cover, I may find a way to read it otherwise without putting my fingers on this book. Because if I put my little grubby paws in this book, fingerprints will be everywhere. I just know it. Next book up is a book that you are all familiar with if you've watched my channel any amount of time. I said when you talk about, I'd get to your book. I'm getting there. Bunny Mask, The Hollow Inside, issue number 1. Yeah, so this is our favorite book that we don't understand but are still compelled to buy. I read the first 4 issues of Bunny Mask. I didn't have a really strong grasp on the character, and then I read the free comic book day version, which had like 2 short Bunny Mask stories, and I felt a little bit more. I felt like I understood the character a little bit more when I read those stories. And I think before I get into this issue, I may have to go back because I still have the first 4 issues from the first Bunny Mask story. I may go back and reread those and then build my way back here now that I think I have a grasp on this character. But this is Bunny Mask, The Hollow Inside, issue number 1. See, thank you managed to pick up a different cover of every book I grabbed this week. I actually wanted the A cover. I wasn't looking for this cover, but this was actually the last Bunny Mask issue in my comic book stores, my shop. Yeah, this is the last issue. So I picked this one up. And I'm tempted to cut out the mask. That is so 60th grade of me, but I really want to cut out this mask. And indeed, Bunny Mask is great and indecipherable. Indeed. I think we have sickness. I think that's what's wrong. And the last book I have for New Comic Book Day for this week, I was up and down, but I finally settled on getting Transformers: The Last Bot Standing, issue number 1. A couple of birds chirped in my ear over the last couple of days, saying that my face may be a little big for the mask. It may be a little big. I don't know. Now, see, if I found the A cover, I may actually be tempted to cut the mask out. Y'all are not supposed to encourage me to do these kind of things. You're supposed to talk sense into me instead of being what do they call it? I forget the phrase when you tell kids when you tell young people to do something. You're not supposed to encourage me. Anyway, Last Bot Standing, Little Bird told me that it's probably like The Last Ronin from TMNT. And where I was gonna skip it, I'm like, well, if it's kind of like The Last Ronin, then I think I'll pick it up and give it a shot. If nothing else, maybe we'll get this whole story on time. But Last Bot Standing, that's the last book I picked up for New Comic Book Day. Okay, yeah. So you are an enabler and I am impressionable, and that is not a great combination. All right, and my last few books, like I said, just whatnot purchases, and I think you'll notice a theme when we start. First book I have is Moon Knight number 5 from the Jeff Lemire run. And if you're going to have Moon Knight number 5, you may as well grab Moon Knight number 6. And if you're going to grab Moon Knight number 6, you may as well grab Moon Knight number 7 with my favorite Space Wolf. I would love to see Space Wolf sometime sooner or later, or at least see Space Wolves come back. But yeah, Moon Knight number 7. Everybody's favorite character that they were dying to see, that they were going to burn down Hollywood if he didn't make an appearance. Moon Knight issue number 8 with Jake Lockley on the cover. It's kind of like in sports when they say that if your team is losing, the guy on the bench is the most popular guy in town. Yeah. So for the lack of action, let's say in the Moon Knight show, Jake Lockley was the most popular guy in the show for a lot of fans, and he wasn't in the show for most of the show. Spoiler alert. Too late. Right. And so what's funny is I read the Lemire run when I first got in the comics. I decided because I wanted to find a Marine Corps vet character to follow when I first got in the comics, and it fell between Punisher and Moon Knight for me. And I wanted to go with someone who was a little less popular, a little less well known. And so I got into Moon Knight. I said I was going to read Moon Knight, and the Lemire run was, I think, right at the end. And so I went back and I started trying to read the Lemire run, and I was confused as all get out. Like this is the run that, while we're talking about Lemire, issue number 9. But this is a run I always suggest that people read after they know a little bit about Moon Knight. Because just jumping into this run, I had no clue. I was lost. Moon Knight number 11. The seller that I bought this from, Cantina Comics on Whatnot and on IG, didn't have 10 and 14, which you're going to see are missing from this haul. Well, no, it didn't have 10, 13, or 14, but I have 10, 13, 14. I have issue 1. I think after this, here's issue number 12. But I think after this, I'm just missing issues number 2 and 3 from Lemire. Right. It really was. And then I went from there. And I went in 2 directions. So from there, the Max Bemis run started, and the Max Bemis run was really weird. And then I went back. I kind of Googled Moon Knight and looked up the best stories. And what is going on? Wheelchair Superhero 87. I think it's Kyle. I don't know if we've talked before, but I've seen you around. Thank you for stopping by. But yeah, so I dipped into the Max Bemis run, and at the same time, I went back to check out the Houston Finch run, starting at the bottom. And the bottom was probably the first place I got to read almost straightforward run on Moon Knight. But yeah, but now I've gone back since then, especially coming up to and through the TV show. I went back and I read the Lemire run again, now knowing who and what Moon Knight is, and it was a really good story to read once you actually have a grasp on the character. But yeah, that's all I picked up was a few filler books for my Moon Knight Lemire run, without, of course, paying the Moon Knight tax. I think the Moon Knight tax may be going down. Maybe there'll be a dip in the price of Moon Knight books, maybe, which is fine with me. I enjoyed the show, but also if the spoils of the show include the price of books going down, I'll take that too. But I'm not going to ramble all night because I need to get up and get ready to be an adult tomorrow and go to work. And yeah, that was all of my books. Let's see. I go back to the new comic book day books for anybody who is just popping in. As I said, Transformers, Last Bot Standing. You know what? I'll say okay on camera. We'll talk. Let's see. Bunny Mask, The Hollow Inside, issue number 1. Grimm, number 1, the foil variant. Nocterra, issue number 10. The Joneses, issue number 2. Seven Secrets, issue number 17. Captain America, Symbol of Truth, issue number 1. Okay, that's fine. We can do that. We can do that. Like I said, we'll talk offline sometime and see what kind of timing we can work out, and we can work that in there. That's fine. And then last book, Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood, issue number 1. And while you're here, Taylor, I did read. I don't know if you were here earlier, but I did read it already. The Hickman story. I may have to read the Hickman story 3 or 4 more times to make heads or tails of it. But the other 2 stories were, they weren't great, but they were all right. I liked the one with Spider-Man and a couple of cameos we got in there, and I liked the last story with the gimmick. But I don't know if the gimmick added anything or took away anything from the story. I don't know how I'd feel if I read that story just straight up. Yeah, I don't understand it. And what's funny is that I liked the I think it's Anubis Rex. Is that whatever the name of the character is? I liked her. I kind of liked her relationship with the young bunny character, and like I like the relationship between those 2 characters. But I don't know what they were. I don't know what like it may have been mostly the art, but I couldn't tell what they were doing, what they were going after. What kind of emergency was going on. I couldn't tell what was going on in the story but probably because of the art. But I did like the relationship between those 2 characters, which probably makes it worse that it had an element that I liked, but I had no idea what was going on. Yeah, I think the Spidey story was my favorite. It had action, and it had some humor to it. I like I said, I think the third story, while not as good as the current Moon Knight book, it most resonated with it as far as the theme of the story, and I didn't mind it. It was in the middle. It wasn't a disappointment. Like I'm like you, the Hickman story was a disappointment to me. I may read it again and see if I can make heads or tails of it, or I may just call it a loss. I don't know. But anyway, I appreciate everybody coming out to hang out and discuss and look at me at 10:10 or 11:10 or whatever time it is, wherever you are. But as we always do at this time, love yourself, love others. Let's hope the rest of the Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood books are better. And I will be back in a flash.